So I said, there's nothing called fear, failure, success. There's no definition to it. Even if dictionaries have it, there's nothing which can define it. The only thing about these three words are that they are words. Failure and success is just a word. If I consider that getting the title was the success of this event, I should have stopped when he asked me to stop. But that wasn't the success. The success was the change which I wanted to feel within myself. Be clear with the purpose of whatever you do in your life. Triathlon, running, cycling, job. If you are clear with the purpose, the early you get the clarity, the better life you're going to live in your life. The better athlete you're going to be, the better triathlete you're going to be. Because that clarity in purpose will decide your priority, how much time you want to give to training, family, kids, job, and then you will make your choices accordingly. You will get up accordingly, you will eat that kind of food, and those choices will set your habits, and then it will become your lifestyle. Then you will not complain that you don't have time for all these things.
I am Baiki Venki, and this is the Working Athlete Podcast. Here, I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, time management, and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, please make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future episodes. Today's guest is an Ironman who finished Ironman triathlon multiple times. He's an Ultraman triathlon finisher, which involves completing 10 kilometers of swimming, 422 kilometers of cycling, followed by an 84 kilometers of running over 3 days. He's not just an ultra-endurance athlete, but also a motivational speaker, an author, and an event organizer. His name is Abhishek Mishra. Welcome to the Working Athlete Podcast, Abhishek. It is a pleasure having you on the show.
Same here.
Let's start by talking a little bit about the event that I see you, event T-shirt that I see you wearing, Herculean Tri, is it?
Yep. It's called Herculean, and it's a triathlon which was there in my mind since I started doing triathlon 6 years back, and we wanted to see how we can start, because as a sport, triathlon, I've been into running, ultra running, cycling, brevis, and triathlon. And honestly, if I tell you, triathlon is one sport which I saw that it pushes you towards humility. You become more humble. Also, because it's like life, you try several things in life. So in running, it's just running which you do. It's like in one direction. And be it a trail run or a road run or whatever, but it's like one single sport. But when you do triathlon, it's not only three sports, it's swimming, cycling, running, the mentality which is involved in a triathlon. Then the transition also is like a sport. The 10-minute transition or 5-minute is also like a sport. So this brand Herculean is what we have started. I'm trying to use and say that it's like Make in India brand. We are trying to create an international level triathlon race in India, but an Indian brand instead of bringing, any outside brand to India. There have been only 2 editions we have done. This happens in Konark. It's very famous for the Sun Temple, the only Sun Temple in the world, which is there. They have a very beautiful road. These beaches are unexplored, so it's very clean beach. Sports tourism is still growing, and Odisha government is obviously very active in promoting sports. So this brand Herculean is all about that triathlon. We have full distance, which we call Herculean. Then we have half distance, which is Tri.5, and then Olympic triathlon, which is there. We do it in association with Indian Triathlon Federation. So this February, we did the 2nd edition. We had almost 160 triathletes who came from almost 20 cities, or I'll say 20 states in the country. So it's like a baby which we are nurturing to see that in 5 years, we have almost 800 triathletes doing the full distance, or at least full and half by 2024. So that is what Herculean is all about.
Awesome. I'm sure this event is going to grow very soon because I see that triathlon in general is growing a lot in India. So
it is.
yeah, awesome. Right. For yourself, your first triathlon Ironman event was in 2015, right?
Right.
Before going there, how did this journey start? What sports were you in as a kid, and how did you get into sports?
So I was, it's a very generic Indian thing that every kid plays cricket. I was more into, athletic kind of thing. So I used to do relay races for my school, not like a trained athlete, but yeah, whenever we used to have sports day, I was very hyperactive. That's my basic nature. I talk to people. I'm very extrovert. So that hyperactive nature, I used to, it used to consume a lot of energy. Even if I'm not playing sports, I'm active, I'm running around, going to friends, doing something. So during my school days, I used to play volleyball, football a lot, more than cricket, I would say. And then obviously in athletic, I used to do high jump. Went till zonal level through my school, then some relay races. When I was in my college, I have played national level sports meet in soccer. So football was my first love, that time also. I was a huge fan of, say, Barcelona, or Spain as a country, or Barcelona as a club. But it was only sport, football. There was no emotional link to that sport. I love it because I love playing it. I love watching it. I love seeing people. That time when we used to play in college days, there were 3 hours of Brazil, Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and Roberto Carlos. So that 3 hours we used to see that yellow jersey. So all this was very fascinating. But it was never, there was no connection. Sport was there, but this and body was not connected. So that's why we used to go and train, but post-training things, recovery, rest, nutrition was never into consideration. So I was into all this playing sports. When I moved to Gurgaon to do my master's, and then I joined, I started working. Then I was working with General Electric in 2011. For 3 years, there was a gap because there was nothing here. Life also changes when you get job, you get independent, you're getting money, you're earning money. I went into that party wala mode, which any teenager goes, into. But that is where I started gaining weight also. I was never more than 55 during my college days. Suddenly I was 70 to 75. And General Electric being an US MNC, they used to go and participate in running events. So I started running in 2010, a bit only for my weight part. But then 2011, I started doing races, half marathon, officially, if you will say, 2011. That also is without training. There was no connect of the sport part, which you're asking. I was active, so I was always doing all the co-curricular activities of my company, running a group called Health Ahead, which was about all health, fitness, and everything. Though I'm not doing everything which is about health, but I was a part of it as a co-curricular activity. So from there, gradually it started, did the half marathon for 2 years, then went to Bombay, did the full marathon, then did Bombay full marathon 2 years. Then 2013, started doing ultra running, after say almost 4 years of running, then started doing 100-kilometer runs, 24-hour runs. In 2015 came the triathlon. So it was like a periodic or say organic journey, which was happening every 2 years. There was something new which was coming in. So 2010, I started slow running. Then 2011 came half marathon. Then after, say in 2012 came full marathon. Then 2013 came ultra run. 2015 came triathlon. So that's how it started. But everything what you see, what was common there was the running bit. The endurance part was there. Football, volleyball, or running, or cycling, triathlon. Endurance is one common link which is there among all these sports.
Right. So, but when you started the journey with, say, normal running, and then you said your first half marathon was in 2011. 2011, right? So right. From there, what prompted you to look at marathon and then ultra marathon? Like, why more and more?
So, initially, if you ask, and I'll mention it here because the book which I have written, like you said, I'm an author. It has these chapters, in this sequence, what promoted. initially, and that is still there in the country. If you would have spoken to so many people who are into this kind of sports. Initial days was the feeling of being different, the achievement. I'm reading a book right now which is called Indians. Okay, and that book has a very beautiful paragraph which talks about that in India we are known for the fascination. Apart from money, what differentiates you and I, the other thing what differentiate us is the title. So you are a cyclist. We all are working. You might be earning 5 lakh, I might be earning 2 lakhs, you're earning 10 lakhs, you're a CEO, I'm an executive or a professional entry level guy. But I can be as equal as my CEO if he's also a runner and I'm also a runner. So being to coming to that platform where, so when I was in GE, when I was doing half marathon, in that whole, General Electric India, corporate body, we had only 20, 30 people who used to run 21 that time. Now, when I was doing my first half marathon, I've written a chapter known as Ego versus Self-Respect. We'll talk about it later. But when I did that half marathon, my timing was 2 minutes slower than my CEO's timing, my oil and gas division CEO. So he knows me personally. He comes to my desk and he talks sometimes. So I feel that I'm different than all the other employees. So this factor, you can say it's a fake proud feeling which is there. There's nothing to be proud about, right? But yeah, you get that happiness feeling which you indulge with, and then that is what pushes you to do something extra. And let me tell you again what I said in the beginning. There was no connect. I was actually doing a full marathon because that time in my company, we could count on fingers. There are hardly people running 42. When I did the Bombay Marathon, I remember there were only 1,500 people running as compared to now 8,000-9,000 people who run full marathon in Bombay, right? So with 1,500 running in Bombay, you would know at least 300-400 people in the country through Facebook or, So these were the motivations in the beginning. When you're finishing, you come back to the office, your HR heads knows you. So when I did the Bombay full marathon, I remember there's a friend, Pratt was GE Transportation CEO that time. Then Pratyush Kumar, known as Pratt. Then he became the president CEO of Boeing India. Now he takes care of Boeing fighter planes. He's the vice president global, stays in US. So Pratt and I used to run together. See, Pratt is somebody, MIT graduate, passed out, is an expat in India. He runs near, he works with railway minister. He goes with the prime minister fleet when he goes to US. So he's that kind of stature. But when it comes to running, we are equal, or I might be better than him because I am faster than him now. Yeah. So that feeling.
Sport is a great leveler, we say, right?
It is. It is when it gives you the maturity. Initially, it also gives you a feel where you go a bit, you see that you become very aggressive in the beginning. So I am running and I used to feel that even if I finish 5 minutes better than my CEOs, they will come and they'll say that, oh, this guy is better than me. I am not a better entrepreneur, a leader or somebody in my company, but I'm better than them at one particular point. So that was the reason of pushing from half marathon to 42 and all, or even doing more frequent runs, which is bad for us in the long term. But when I did the ultra run in 2013, that changed the prospect. That 24-hour of running in a jungle, there's a run here which happens called Bhatti Ultra, started in 2009, I think, or 2010. I was running for 24 hours. There are very less people. That time in India, people running more than 100 kilometers were hardly 20 or 30 people, max. Like we all knew who does more than 100 kilometer run. Now that's another achievement. You feel like, oh my God, I'm among the 100 people who are running more than 100. And then on the trails, there are less people. There was only one ultra which used to happen in Bangalore, the Bamboo Ultra, which our Runners for Life used to organize.
Right.
And then one used to happen in Delhi. So there were only 3-4 races in the country that time. But that 24-hour run connected me to the sport. I can say now I'm more connected to football than I was when I was playing. Now I'm more connected to run, cycle, swim, which I wasn't for the first 3 years. So after 2013, what is pushing me to keep doing things is unfolding Abhishek Mishra every time.
No, just a minute about that connect, how that the 24-hour ultra has connected you. You said it connected you to the sport. How?
Right. So
what changed?
I'll tell you in steps.
Right.
So the first point was we didn't go there to run because we wanted to be superior than other people who are running 42 kilometers. There were like 7-8 bunch of us who were running in Gurgaon, and we said that now we have done 2 full marathons. What next? So we decided that let's do ultra. So someone said there's a run which happens in Delhi, which is called Bhatti Ultra. They have for us, people like us, there are 2 categories. Either you do a 100-kilometer run, which has a 17-hour cutoff, or you do a 24-hour run in which minimum you have to do 100 kilometers. So now our criteria was to go and have fun and enjoy the race. So that was the first thing, okay? From being competitive, it came to the experiential side of it, right? It was not a race, it was a run. That was one. Second, when we started the run, I had planned everything. So I had my eye shuffle ready, and I said it will work only for 6 hours. So I'll use it when I'm tired, when I need music to motivate. First 20, we went for a 10-kilometer loop. Went 10 kilometers, came back, first 20 done. I thought I still have energy. I'm running with people. Let me not take out my music model. Then I remember me, Rashmi, Chandan, we were running. We went for second loop, came back, another 20. It's 40 kilometers. I'm still feeling good. And Bhatti Trail is one of the deadly trails in the country. You'll slip around, there's a lot of stones, boulders, sand. I remember one very seasoned ultra runner who was running there, 220 kilometers. By the time I started, she already had a fall 5-6 times, bruises everywhere on the face and all. It's very brutal trail. So after doing 40, I was again running with Rashmi. She's a CFO here now in Clicks. That time she was with Philips, I think. So, and our pace is now also when we do ultra, we run together. We have a lot to talk, discuss, So I was running with her. We did the 60-kilometer part. Okay. After 60, you are on your own. Now that's the third phase. I have forgotten about my iPod shuffle. This 60-kilometer, now we are in the afternoon side where it's very sunny in Delhi NCR, and there's no shade. You are more of walking than running. This is the phase when things started drifting in terms of connect, what you're asking. I was done with 80 kilometers. Now it's dark, it's evening, and we were allowed to go only to 5 and come back. The 10-kilometer loop is shortened to 5 and back. So we're doing that. Now it's a pitch dark, no moon night. Okay, you only have your torch. People who are running are these 24-hour people, 160, 100 miler or 220 people. That's it. So which is only 25, 30 people running on that trail. Nobody else. By the time I was doing this 70th kilometer route, it was 7, 8 o'clock something. I started talking because now I have never ran. I only ran once or twice 12 hours, which was 70, 80 with a lot of support, took 15 hours and all. But this is the inexperienced part of an ultra runner where your body starts talking to your mind because of your pain, sleep, hunger, anger. You have everything coming up. Emotion starts building, right? So the first emotion, the first question was, why the fuck am I running this? Sorry for the word. Okay, so why the hell am I doing this ultra? Yaar? Why am I torturing? Because every time you go to the camp, the station or the resting camp, you see people who are volunteers who are eating, enjoying. I'm like, yes, pain mein nahi hai. Why am I taking this pain? Yeah. So when you do this, now it's a flashback in your life. Okay. Now cut to the frame, you are in flashback. When you say why you're running, I went back to the conversation with the friend that why we should do 24 hours because there's no rush of running 100 in 17. We'll have enough time. So we can enjoy, eat, drink something, eat food, talk, sing. But all that is not happening. I'm all alone. There's nobody to talk, sing, or drink with me. Right? Then comes that, what am I doing next in my life? So now you are in your own zone. You don't even know whether you want somebody to know. You don't need any company. You have the best company in the world, which is yourself. You don't need, anyone's consulting or something. You're consulting yourself, which is the best consulting. So the next question was, what am I doing in my life? Okay, I'm working in this company. what kind of work am I doing? Am I creating any value? Why am I having fights with my boss? What time do I reach office? Why did I work with this company? Oh, because I was working in some. Oh, why? Then I did MBA. Why did I do MBA? Because I had no value when I did engineering. So it step. I am in my childhood now. So by the time I finished 100 kilometer, I still had like 6-7 hours to go, but bare minimum 100 I had done. So then I took a 1 hour break. Then I started doing, so I did some 130, 140 kilometer trail running in 24 hours. But by the time I was 100 kilometer mark, I was connected with my sport. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically also. All 4 wings were together. Right. Because I understood, and that is the reason 2013 October I was running this run, 2014 March I resigned from it. I was not doing what I wanted. When I was there in my childhood and when I was doing this 24-hour run, there was one sync and similarity, that how and what I wanted to do in my life. I did not want to do engineering. It was because of the ego that my friends are doing it. I did MBA because I had only got 60% in engineering. I have no job in hand. People will ask questions, so I should do something to run away from the question. So 2 more years of masters, Then, okay, I got the job. People are not saying anything. You're independent. Now you're in a US MNC. So my father is very proud, and all those things. But that was the 24-hour run which you asked. And those were the steps which connected me, like I said, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, then physically. And I discovered myself in that run. And that's where the endurance journey has continued, still going on.
Brilliant. So you said that made you realize that you wanted to have that feeling of oneness with the sport, so to speak, and that made you quit your job. Was that a kind of as easy a decision as you are saying in one sentence?
It wasn't always, No. It wasn't, but I'll say that was the trigger point.
Right.
And that was a trigger point. There are lots of catalysts to it. So trigger point was that, okay, I don't want this kind of, job where I go at 10, come back at 7. I don't see any value creation. Okay, fine. If I stay in this company after another 7 years, I might be on-site job, staying in US somewhere. But am I enjoying it? No. If I'm spending 14 hours in the company, 6 hours I'm doing the job, 8 hours I'm doing something, talking to people, doing this co-curricular activities, health ed and all those things. That is what I enjoy. I enjoy doing something where people recognize me and they feel happy because of my effort. That wasn't happening in the job. Now, when I do an endurance sports like this Herculean triathlon, I make sure that I run with this is any race where I'm the race director, be it somebody else also, be it mine. I make sure that I go and make the last person finish the run. So in this triathlon also, I ran 500 meters with the last triathlete who was coming. I was the race director in Adani Marathon in Ahmedabad for 2 years. I made sure that even after working there for 24 hours, not sleeping for 2 nights, I ran last 5 kilometers with the last guy who was finishing the marathon. So that it gives a satisfaction. And ultimately, we all look for it, be it at the age of 70, 60, 50, but we all look for that satisfaction and peace. So that was the trigger. To get this peace, I wanted to quit the job. Now, catalysts were so I was helping Milind to do Pinkathon that time. He started in 2013, in Delhi and all over the country, and we became good friends. So I was helping them in events. I love events, okay? I think because they're very uncertain. Events are like pandemic. You never know what can happen next moment. Everything is going fine. Suddenly wind will come, your gate will blow. You don't know what will happen, right? They're very uncertain. So I love those planning, changing, all those things. So I was helping him with Pinkathon. He loved the way I used to do events with a lot of energy, and also he wanted me to come and join Pinkathon. We started. I was a part of a obstacle running event, Devil Circuit, if you know. I did the first 2 races, in India, and then the guy who curated that race, Harshvi, he asked me, he said, you wanted to start something? We want to start. So we started a race called Alpha League Races. One edition happened in Delhi, one happened in Bangalore in 2016. So we started that company. Obviously, then I left that company and I joined I helped Milan to do another Pinkathon, 2-3 Pinkathon as consultant. And then I thought that, okay, I left my job because I wanted to start something. So I started my own consulting, sports consulting firm called Tavono Sports in November 2014. But these were the catalysts, and another thought was, while doing that ultra run, I was thinking, what am I doing? I understood I wanted a life basis need, not basis desire. Okay. So when I was leaving my job, the first thing I did was I did a reverse calculation that what do I need in my life at present, or say another 5 years. So my house to live, which could be a 2 BHK rented flat, okay, food and everything. My expenses, you won't believe, when I left my job, I needed bare minimum 30,000 bucks. And that also because I had a car that time, which EMI was running, which I sold. And now since past 2 years, I'm bekar. So all those things were there. But my need was, it was only 30% of what I was earning that time. So I had this confidence because of these runs that even if I do not succeed in what I'm going to start, I have the caliber and skill set that I can get a job which can fulfill my need. And that was a very strong point. That gave me the courage to leave the job. I thought that boss, 30K chahiye na, 50K ka job to you will get. I know people, I have network. They've seen me working. When I was leaving, I resigned on Friday, Saturday, Sunday was off. When I came on Monday morning, I went to my desk and I sat and I saw my CEO was standing there, Ashish. Now Ashish Bhandari is the MD for Thermex in Pune, but he was the CEO that time of oil and gas. He said, hello, come to my cabin. So I went. And then he was asking me, when I told him why I'm leaving, he thought I'm joining somewhere else. I said, no, boss, this is what I'm going to do. He gave me ideas. He said when he was in US, how people used to do family triathlon. He was also excited. And I remember in 2017, there's a run which I started in Gurgaon. He came to run my run. And this time he was the Asia Pacific CEO of GE Oil and Gas. He came, he ran, he finished the run. He came, he hugged me. And he's like, I think this is the better run than the Airtel Delhi half marathon, which I do. There are 1 or 2 things you can do better. See, imagine a company where I resigned, my CEO gave me ideas, and after 3 years, he's hugging me tight and saying that he felt so happy that I've done such an amazing event, incredible event. The entire golf course, us blog people are running, and he felt super good. This is the achievement I wanted. I'm getting goosebumps now also telling this story.
Absolutely.
So this was the courage which I got because I thought that I'm going to live a need-driven life, not desire-driven. And that's why I think I'm still sustaining. Even past 2 years, we don't have any event happening. Nothing. People are saying what you will do next. I said, when I started, I was at 0. Now at least people know me. People know my brands. I can start again after 2 years. What's there, So these were the strong thought process which was there behind, which helped me to quit and then start.
Brilliant, brilliant. So that sets the context, right? But for you as an event, as a participant in events, right? You have done 4 Ironman events. What are the?
I've been to 6. Yeah, but I didn't. I've been to 6 races. Did 4. Okay. There was DNF in 2 races.
Okay.
One was not my fault, or I'll say both were my fault actually. Yeah.
Okay, so what were those 2 DNFs, and what was your best race, and what were the learnings from it?
So the best race was obviously the first one, because and that race is there also in the book. The chapter name is Run for Yourself, because in my first race I was told to leave the course. That I'm no more a participant of the race and I will not get the title, so I should leave the race. And that, if anybody who will listen to this podcast, if they want to know why, they should read the book, because it's a long story. I finished the race, I got the title, but after 2 days of the race, I got an email. And because when the time when we were doing triathlon, especially Ironman and all, it was very fascinating. There were hardly 20 triathletes in India who had done the Ironman race. So it used to come in media a lot. Especially Milan doing it made it very famous, right? Now, because everyone knew Milan and I used to train together, media was also waiting for me, to see that, okay, he's also another triathlete who's coming back. They were waiting for my interviews. So there are a lot of things which happened. So that was the best race, I'll say. Also, why? Because I remember when I did my first full marathon in Bombay, it was hard for me to go to the Churchgate local and then go to Goregaon and my friend. It took me 4 hours to reach there. I could barely walk. But in this Ironman triathlon in 2015, after swimming, cycling, and the drama which happened in between, I finished my full marathon in 4 hours, a few minutes. And I was still standing. You know, the cutoff was 17. I finished in 14 hours, I think 10 minutes or so. I was still standing. And I was like, yeah, this is done. I'm not tired at all. I was standing there for 3 hours. When the whole event got over, then I went to the transition, took my bike, walked back to my hotel. Next day, I was fit and fine, standing, walking, no soreness, nothing. In fact, after 3 days, this event was on 26th September. I landed here in India on 30th. 31st October, I was at the Bhatti Trail Ultra to do a 220-kilometer race. Everyone in this triathlon community was saying, you're mad, you should rest for an hour. You had trained for 6 months, finished the toughest triathlon in the world. I'm like, I'm not feeling tired. So I went for Bhatti Ultra. At 1 p.m. where 42-degree temperature, I started my race. Obviously, I stopped after 120 kilometers because I felt that, okay, now I'm tired. So I knew that I had the endurance of finishing a triathlon and then doing a 160, 120-kilometer run in 3 or 4 days. Right? So that was the best experience also because first. After that, I have never, if I tell you that I train out of 10, I have trained 8, you know, my first training. After that became a lifestyle. I've never trained for any races. Never. Like, then I did Sweden in 2019. There also I'm cycling, I'm swimming, I'm running, but I've never trained keeping any goal of time, you know, that, okay, I have to finish this timing of triathlon. I think I've gone, as I said, that it's more of an experiential thing than a racing, than a competitive one. I remember in Sweden, I finished my swim, transition, cycle and transition. In 8 hours, 25 minutes, I started my run. So I told myself that even if I finish my run in 4 hours, it's 12 and a half hours of triathlon, which is a very good timing, very decent time of finishing a triathlon, you know, the way I train. So that's Sweden was also one race which I enjoyed, but I've enjoyed all the races. I did New Zealand. I finished. I loved it. I finished New Zealand in 14:55 or 15 hours because I was walking with people. I was dancing where the music is, talking to them. There was a girl from Malaysia said, you don't even look like you're tired. Why don't you run? I'm like, because it's okay. Even if I finish 15, I finish 12, I finish 11, I'm going to be an Ironman. What's the point, right? I want to enjoy this place. 20,000 people of Lake Taupo are there. The whole city is there to cheer us up. So I want to touch everyone's hand and then, you know, feel that. So that was there. So I love it. Now also I go for once or twice in a year. I go for these triathlons, international triathlons, just to visit the country, meet the people, see why we don't have such culture in India. Why are we missing those things? Okay. Then coming back to the DNF part which you asked, first DNF was in Malaysia in 2017. I had finished Ultraman, and there were only 6 Indians till 2017 who had finished Ultraman by then. You know, I was the 3rd Indian who got invited. So I think there was some feeling, you know, I still have fear of water. I am afraid of open water. If you ask me to go in a 300-meter lake alone and touch the 300 point and come back, I'll not do it. There has to be somebody with me, and there has to be my boy and all. I'm still afraid of open water after doing Ultraman and all those races, okay? So when I did Malaysia, it was the first no wetsuit swim. So everyone knows that in wetsuit, you have buoyancy, you'll not drown and all those things. So there is no story and all in my mind that I'll drown and die. Malaysia, I had went with 0 swim training, and that was my fastest swim till that time. I finished 1:33 for my 4 kilometers, 3.8. I was so satisfied and so happy that after doing 100-kilometer mark, I had a fall, but then I didn't feel like getting up. I was like, I was still thinking of the swim. It was so natural, the whole swim, that after the cycling, the ambulance came and they said, oh, you want to start? I said, no, I want to go to the holding area. They took my bike there. I went, they checked if I have any injury or so. And then they asked me, you can go. I went out. As soon as I got my phone back, I called my coach. The lady who used to train me, Manisha here. And I was like, listen, you know what? I swim was like, it's like the best food what you eat. You know, the whole feeling when your food goes inside your feet. I was having that feeling. And I'm like, boss, I'm done with this triathlon. What I wanted, I've achieved. with no fear, no wetsuit. I have finished the swim easily. And then my fastest swim, I don't want anything else. I don't want to do this cycling, running. So that was one DNF. I came to the finish point. I sat there for 12 hours watching people clapping, drinking beer. That's a foolish thing, spending so much money going, but I love doing that. Second DNF was, and then to this, I went to New Zealand. I finished the triathlon, I think in 4-5 months. New Zealand was in March. Then April, May, I went to Australia immediately after a month. I think I was not prepared, but it's also very hectic, 24 hours of, flight. I reached Sydney. I drove for 6 hours from Sydney. 2 more people were supposed to go with me. They didn't get the visa. I reached, I think, on Thursday morning, and I got my kit. Friday was supposed to be the check-in and all. So I was very, jet lagged, tired. Temperature there is different. I had some salad which I had bought a day before. I ate that, so I was vomiting that also. So got dehydrated. I was fainted. I think I was unconscious for almost 1.5 hours in their medical tent.
Wow.
So they told me that I'm dehydrated. When I got up, I had dripped. They had put ECG machine on my chest and all that happened because I had a fall. So I got bruise and all also. But that was
all on the cycle part.
Yeah, while cycling. I got unconscious and I collapsed.
Oh.
But it was on a hill, so obviously I was not that fast. So I don't remember from there when I came to their tent and all those things for 3-4 hours. I don't remember what happened. But that also I said it's my mistake. I should have planned. But
right.
I took it very lightly. So that was another DNF. Which happened. And then after that, I went to Kalmar and I finished very strongly. All my fastest swim happened there. I finished 123, 124 for the swim. Cycling I did, there was headwind, but I finished cycling enough. Like it was the best time till swim, cycle, run, all those things. Nice. For my triathlon.
Awesome. So what when you say, rather than looking at the time, looking at the experience, of the event, it is hard for people to kind of understand, who always, there is a section of people who are always looking at the time, right? There is a section of people who just want to complete. You tend to be somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah. So I do look for timings. Like last lockdown, I was planning to do a 120 half marathon. Okay. What I've done, 2014, I run barefoot. Okay. So my barefoot fast marathon 2014 was around 135, was my timing. After that, I went into triathlon, which was endurance. So I didn't go for the competitive one. Then, last year I thought that, okay, let me see if I saw Kipchoge running 159 thing. That motivated. So I thought he's my age, or, let me try and see if I can still run fast. And I was running 40-minute 10K last lockdown when I was training. So I thought 40-minute 10K, if I train like this for another 4-5 months, I can do 120, 125 half marathon, So it's not that I don't go for timings, but I'm not somebody who will say that every year I want to graduate my timing. One, practically it's not possible because the kind of job which I'm doing. Either I leave everything, I need that much of time. I cannot give 15 hours and train a triathlon and try to do a 10-hour triathlon, right? I have to give a 30-hour triathlon and recovery accordingly, nutrition, everything, right? Which I don't do. So I love the endurance part more than the competitive part. I love the keep going part in my own rhythm rather than trying to be in that comfort -1 zone. That every time you're not very uncomfortable, but you're not comfortable also. Right. So when I try to do that, there are times like I want to do a full marathon in sub 2:30, which I will do now or at the age of 40. I don't know, but I'll do it. It's there in my mind just to try myself. It's not that is saal itna kiya hai, to next year itna next year. That I've seen. I finished my first half in 2:33. In 4 years, every year it was 20 minutes improvement, and I did one. So I have sensed that achievement also. So could be that I'm no more going into that part. And then I've changed my lifestyle also. But yeah, you'll say that I go with the flow. It's not that I have it's also could be because it's more than a decade I'm doing it. There's almost 11, 12 years that I'm into endurance sports. So I've seen and felt and sensed these kind of things.
Okay. So now you mentioned that you like that endurance part and like to keep going. I guess that's
Yeah,
what push you towards ultra events, right?
correct, correct.
Like the Ultraman event. Let's talk a
Correct.
little bit about that Ultraman event and what was the experience like there.
So the purpose of doing Ultraman was to experience something different because I had done two races by then, triathlon, Ironman Spain and South Africa. So I wanted to do something different. I heard that there was one guy in Delhi who was training for it. When I was doing lots of research, I couldn't find anything because in India by then there was only Dr. Anu had done in 2009. And because it was long back, nobody was aware about such events. So I started finding what is more than Ironman distance. So I found it's the same Ironman distance which you do 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. It's the same thing. It's like running 21 everyday times, but didn't excite me because it's not something different. Then I found Ultraman, which is the only title-driven, time-based cutoff event. Like you have Enduraman also after Ultraman, which is very different logic. It's from one part to another part. You cross English Channel also, but they don't have any cutoff. Somebody does in 60 hours, somebody did in 100. So there was no challenging part also. I'm not saying there should not be cutoff. There should be cutoff. You should challenge yourself. So then I thought of Ultraman thing. So and when I saw the biggest challenge for me was 10-kilometer swim, because I learned swimming in 2015. I learned it after registering for my Ironman triathlon. I was not a swimmer.
Okay.
I registered for Ironman triathlon in March, and then I started learning swimming in the month of April. And then in September, I did the triathlon. So swimming was something which was curious to me. And I wanted to train, but so I started traveling that time. I was doing a run in Gurgaon, I was doing one run in Lucknow, then one in Madurai. So I was traveling a lot. That way I couldn't train much. I did 1 or 2 6-kilometer swim only, right? And then cycling, I'm very lazy with cycling. Like you can see my bike is there. Now, after 6 years, I bought a trainer, indoor interactive trainer, so that I can train inside. And there also, I get down on the saddle very less. So, because running is very easy, you don't have to do anything. Just get up. I to run barefoot, okay. So if it's better weather, just get up, wear a t-shirt, go out and run. You don't have to do much. Right. So Ultraman cycling was also very challenging. But when I saw the course, I started cycling 50, 60, 70, 100-kilometer races. But I'll say this was the most experiential and tough event if somebody asks me. Mm-hmm. You have to swim 10 kilometers, then you have to cycle 150, and you have 6 hours for both, so 12 hours. Right. Now, after swimming 10, cycling 150 is like 24 kilometers per hour average, okay, which is tougher than any other swim. Ironman also average is 22.3 if you look at, right? So, and then there's headwind all across because they make you, cycle towards the airport road and all in Florida. And then there is some climb, though it's a flat course, but there's some elevation which is there. So then second day you cycle 275 kilometers where the elevation is almost 4,000 feet. And that is killer because the gradient also goes from 7 to 10%. Okay. And there are lots of hills. I can never say that there was a 10-kilometer or a 5-kilometer patch which was flat. No. Right. It was always rolling, and then used to come mountains and all that. They make us go to Sugarloaf Mountain, which is the second highest peak in Florida. So, and then 84-kilometer run on third day. And all these are 12 hours every day. Right. When you finish something in one shot, it's easier. I've done 140-kilometer run in one shot. It's done. I've done 160-kilometer run in Kutch Desert, shingle shot. You know that you start, you finish, done. But here you have to motivate yourself every fucking day when you sleep that you have to get up and you have to go and do something. And then with the sore muscle. So I remember day one, swimming was my most challenging thing. I was so scared. We were going in our car to the swim location, and I was, so we had our bikes with our crew member, which is there. And Milind and I were sitting in our car and going. And that is where I say that Milind Suman is my mentor because he has changed my perspective of looking at life. So I was very quiet, sitting there. So he looked at me and he started laughing because he takes everything as a joke. And I looked at him with anger. I'm like, why the hell are you laughing? He's like, look at your face. You're so scared. I'm like, I don't know how to swim 10. I've never done more than 6 kilometers, that too once. 10 kilometers is 10 kilometer running. If you ask me in my sleep also, I'll run.
Yeah.
But swimming, that's where, he told me one thing. He said, listen to me now. I am a national level swimmer. I've been swimming all my life. Everybody knows that. In India, people have perception that celebrities have a lot of time to do lots of things, train, this, that, blah, blah. They have lots of people around them to help them. But you think this, that if average looking guy, 5'7", slim, not even bulky or so strong that, people will like, acha, ye to Ultraman hai. Not like that. He's like, you have to think this while swimming, that if you finish the swim, you have done Ultraman. Because rest all, you are confident that you can do it. If you finish the swim, how many people in India who will read about it, even after 50 years, will say that, what, if this guy can do it, he's very average looking Indian guy, why can't we? So go with this thought, break your swim into pieces. So if I've seen Ultraman, when I started this chapter of Ultraman in my book, the starting line says, fear just a word. I had made stories about fear, which he tried to break in, in different pieces. That thought process, and there were a few more, which is there, motivated, and I went to swim. I was in panic mode because it happens, you have to get the rhythm, be it cycling, swimming, any sport, I got my rhythm in 700 meters, and then I started swimming. After 4 kilometers, I felt like I should keep on swimming. I was enjoying it, I was singing song while swimming because I knew abhi itna aur bacha hai. They had 6 hours of cutoff. I finished my swim in 5 hours, and I was super happy. So I went out. I took at least 35 minutes because my left shoulder was not moving. It got jammed because of swimming. And so I took time to take off the wetsuit. Water was very cold. It was 15, 16 degrees. I remember a year before somebody got hypothermia there in swimming that water. So then I took cycling, and now cycling, I'm on aero bar. Even if there is wind, I'm enjoying it. And I remember my average was like some 30 kilometers per hour, and I finished my 150 in 5 hours, some minutes, So my total time was around 11 hours out of 12-hour cutoff. So that was day one. I believe that I'm done, man. I am the Ultraman now because next 2 days, I know it's my cup, I can do it. That's the mistake. That early party, what we do, so I reached there. People were there, because we are 4 Indians who went. So Kaustubh, Radkar, me, Milind Soman, Prithviraj Patil. So we all were there waiting. So every time somebody finishes, we're there with the flag. And these people also, they invite only 40 triathletes. So when we went, it was 40 triathletes from 18 countries. So they, they have flags of each country, which is there at the finish line every day. So I went there, I got food. My crew member gave me sandwich. I'm eating that. Then they have massage. I'm enjoying. We forgot about second day. अपने को पता ही नहीं कि भाई next day भी है. This is the most challenging part. That next day you have to fucking cycle 275 kilometers in 12 hours. You're forgetting about that. And which you're not trained for it also. This event was a trial to see whether we are prepared to do something like this or not. We are not trained. And there's a huge difference between these two words, being prepared and being trained. We went there to check, especially Milind and I, we went there to check whether we are prepared to do such kind of event or not. If I wanted to finish it in 28 hours instead of 30, 36 cutoff, then I need to train for it. But I wanted to check if I'm prepared for such event or not. If I'm prepared, then I can train, and I can train to be better. That's a cycle which will never end. You can keep training better. But you have to be prepared to train for anything. So that's the first start. People say you need to train. No, you need to be first prepared. If you're prepared, then you train. So when you train, you become prepared to be better than that. It's always like a cycle like this.
You mean mentally prepared?
Physically also.
Okay. So what?
If you're running, see.
How do you differentiate between preparedness?
Yeah. So when you tell me that, okay, Abhishek, let's do a triathlon which is bigger than Ultraman. If I say no, I'm not prepared. If I say no in the beginning, as soon as you ask me the question, I'm not prepared mentally.
Right.
Why I'm not prepared mentally? Because I feel my body can't take it.
Okay.
But if I say that, yeah, let's go and give it a try, which means I'm prepared. Physically, mentally, both. Now I need to test my physical preparation. For that, you have to start. Even you don't need to train to that level. You just need to maintain that lifestyle so that you say yes to that thing. Training is if you have certain objective. Like now I go into Ironman races. I'm prepared to do these races. Any day I'll go and I'll do it. I know I might not finish that fast, but I'm prepared. I can go and do a triathlon tomorrow. If you ask me, I'll do a full distance triathlon. I might do in 18 hours, 16 hours, 15 hours. I don't know because I'm not trained for it.
Okay.
So training is very goal oriented. Preparation is lifestyle. Like we heard lots of people who have been politicians, corporate leaders and all, they said you need to be prepared for life. Life can give you, any shock, which is very uncertain. COVID, jaundice, heart attack, could be anything. You need to be prepared. We say, oh, today is a cheat day. Chalta yaar. One day we can eat something bad. You need to be prepared. You never know. Next day you might get a heart attack. Now, when you train, is that how fit you want to be. Fitness is level. So you need to train to uplift your level. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. You could be an amazing cyclist. I could be an amazing runner. Somebody is an amazing triathlete. That requires training. But for that, you need to be prepared. If I'm not prepared, you can keep telling me 1,000 things. I'll not go and train myself. Right? So that is where even fitness and health is very different. Being healthy means you are prepared to take a challenge because you are healthy. You are healthy. You are connected spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, which happened in 2013 run. But to finish an ultra marathon or a marathon, I need to train for it.
Okay.
So if you are healthy, health is lifestyle. You cannot take a chance saying, "Ek mahina nahi karega to chalega." But fitness is whether you are fit to do a 10K, you're fit to do a 21, you're fit to do a 42. You don't run for 2 months, you will come back to the fitness level of 10 kilometers. You don't run for a year, you will come back to a fitness level of 30 minutes running. So training defines your level. Preparation, make sure that you are ready always.
Right.
So that's what happened.
So if you are still, although you're not training, if you are maintaining a healthy eating lifestyle and stuff, you are still healthy.
You're prepared.
But not, maybe the fitness is not at the same level. So similarly, you are kind of comparing the preparedness and the training aspect to being prepared. You are comparing it.
See,
to
lifestyle is your preparation.
Lifestyle.
Correct.
Right.
Having that lifestyle will make sure that you are prepared. That preparation level also goes up, So if you start training, you will say that now I'm prepared for 21, so I have to start training for 42. People say this, that I'm prepared, I'm ready for 21, but yeah, for 42, I need to train. But if you leave that lifestyle, your 21 will come down to 10.
Right.
Most of the people, if you look at marathon or running industry or cycling in India, after doing one event, they go in a hibernation mode for 2 months saying that recovery. Recovery doesn't mean that you stop doing those things. Recovery means you reduce the intensity.
Right.
You look at your food. Recovery doesn't mean aaj marathon bhaga hai, so next 1 month I'm going to pubs and doing party every day because I sacrificed that for 6 months. No.
Right.
Then that means you're not prepared for it.
Yeah.
So that consistency is what we miss and we are not prepared. And then we try to compensate that inconsistency by doing something extra and we get injured. It's very simple. You just need to be, we talk about all this consistency, compensation, all those things. So we went for this Ultraman to check if we are prepared. So next day when we started cycling, I was very happy. I'm like, boss, ab to I'll chhod dunga types. And when we started cycling in 50 kilometers, I have a picture of my Ultraman race, which is there in the book also. I'm lying down as if I'm dead. And you won't believe, while cycling this race, I was crying, like literally crying. There were tears coming out. I was remembering my mother. And I was praying to her that please make me finish this part. Because it was so hilly, and in Delhi, we don't have climb. Like even in Bangalore, you can do Nandi Hill climbs up and down and all. In Gurgaon, we don't have much. We have only flyovers, which is nothing.
Yeah.
I've never seen 7-8% gradients so many times. It was brutal for me, you'll ask me, and I finished cycling 10 minutes before. So 12-hour cutoff, I finished 11:50. When I finished, I felt like, boss, I don't need anything else in my life.
Right.
I was like, oh my God. And I cried so many times, so many times. You know, there were times, and because I also stopped wearing cleats while cycling. So then I was wearing my Vibrams, 5 fingers. So now you're only pushing, you're not pulling the pedal, So on inclines, it's getting tougher also. So that was most challenging. And that made me realize that, boss, this is not an easy event. And then you finish it, then you go back to the hotel, you have to eat food. You reach the hotel by 10 o'clock, you go to the bed by 12 o'clock, then you have to get up at 3 because you have to prepare everything, leave at 4, reach the site by 5, start point. So you hardly get time to sleep. And when your body is sore from day one, even if you turn around, you can't sleep. There's pain, which is there.
Right.
Then obviously running was my strongest. So I had decided. So running, I did very strong. I finished first 42 kilometers in 4 hours, after 2 days of this soreness and endurance and all. And I met with a small accident while running. Otherwise, I would have finished my 84 in 10 hours, which is, if you look at ultra running, 84 kilometers in 10 hours is a very good speed. Right. And especially after doing that swimming, cycling on that days. So, but that was Ultraman. But I'll say that was the best, beautiful, toughest race of my life till date.
So what was that?
Apart from what I'm planning to go now next.
Yeah. What was that accident you were talking about?
Yeah, there was this. So there were some areas where your crew members cannot be in your range. Like they cannot park their car and all. So they have to go ahead. It's a freeway. And there were only 2 roads, it's like there's no other lane. So either cars are going or they're coming. And we had to run against the traffic. I was running there and there were cars coming, and it's a freeway. People drive like 80, 70, 80, 90 miles per hour. I was not looking ahead. I was looking at those houses which were built there in construction site. And I saw some Indian name. I'm forgetting that name now. Some Punjabi guy's name written was there, who was like a corporate property consultant. And I was like, look at these Indians, man. They're selling properties here also in India. And by the time I look in the front, there was a car coming very fast. I think the guy was on phone or something. He also didn't notice that I'm there. And there were lots of boulders of their construction thing. So I had to jump from the road to avoid. I think because I was tired also, I couldn't figure out whether this guy will. I thought he might hit me. So when I jumped on the boulder, I twisted my right leg. And then I had a fall. So when I had a fall, just before my, above my ankle, this tendon in this muscle joint area, it hit on a boulder, I think. So I had a swollen ankle and that area got ruptured. So when I came back to India and I showed them, they said, you should not have ran after that because that area is ruptured. So every time, even I'm driving a car, if I press an accelerator and leave it, I used to hear the sound of something in my leg.
Right.
So when this happened at what I think around 67 some kilometer mark. So I had another 17 kilometers to go. Then I walked 500 meters. I met my crew because I had a fall. I had blood coming out of my gums and all also. So I put ice inside. Every time I was spitting, there was blood coming out. And then my ankle was swollen. They saw that. So we had to put 2-3 crab banded like this. They asked that they'll call 911. And I knew that 911 means I'm out of the race.
Right.
And I am not going to spend another 5 lakh rupees to come and do Ultraman. Okay. So It's only 14, 15 kilometers more to go.
Yeah.
So I said, I told them, let's walk. I was walking in 500 meters. I was crying like a baby holding Susie, who was my crew member. And Susie is like an ultra woman. She has done Ultraman championship. She has won 2-3 times. And she was my crew member. She was feeling very bad, the kind of pain I was in and all. So she told me what to do. And she also asked, she said, Abhishek, if you call 911, you're out of the race. They'll take you for some surgery or something. In the ambulance, you're gone. I'm like, I don't want to leave it. Let's, we started walking again. There were other people who came, some doctors were there whose husband was doing. So they put a duct tape on my, my feet, like very tight to stop the blood circulation. I had 5 painkillers. And then my pain subsided. So I started running. I finished the race. That's why I couldn't finish. So I finished in 11 hours, 25 minutes. I took 1 hour extra because of that, the whole incident. And I couldn't run for 2 months after that when I came back to India.
Right.
But yeah, that was the accident which happened. But I didn't want to stop. I know there was terrible pain because next day when they asked me to come on the stage for awards, they asked me to speak. I could barely walk. It was swollen like this, my ankle. But yeah, I had to finish it. So I did it.
Awesome. And you mentioned something bigger coming up. What is that?
Yeah, even I was feeling that okay, there's nothing which has done after 2017. I've been doing triathlon races, but not something big. So instead of going out of India, I thought why not do something inside. So I decided that okay, Ultraman swim was 10, so let me do something more. So 15 kilometers swimming. Then Ultraman cycling was 423 with 4,000 feet elevation. We decided a route which is 400 kilometers cycling, but 16,000 feet elevation. Okay. Whoa. And then the run in Ultraman is 84. So we made a running of 100 kilometers. So cycling distance is less by 23 kilometers. But if you look at elevation, instead of 4,000, 16,000 feet, it's humongous. Okay. So this is total of 515 kilometer triathlon. We are going to do it in Dandeli. So first I thought that I'll just go and do it on my own, Karnataka. But then I made it a race. So there are 3-4 more Indians. And it's like a qualifying. It's not an open event. So as somebody who's done a full distance triathlon, Ironman, Herculean, Extreme Triathlon, or any other full distance, they qualify for it. Then people apply. This time we thought we'll have 5 to 10 people. So 5 people have applied, but I think only 3 or 4 are going to race. Okay. This is in October. Okay. I have started the preparation for it, not training, I'll say. But because pools were shut, so now one pool is open here. So I started swimming. Because 15 kilometers swim is going to be very amazing. Yeah. So let's see how it goes. So we have given it a name of Hawkman. I was thinking of some name from past 2-3 years, and I was sitting in Konark after this Herculean race. I was looking so I saw some hawks. They were trying to catch fish or something, and I'm like, they have such a good vision. They can look for like so far, and then they have the strength, because when they pick something, they hold it up and they go fly like anything. I'm like, why not have Hawkman, man? Hawk has the vision and the sight to look so far. So I said, enhance your vision of endurance. I thought that endurance is up till Ultraman. Now I have to enhance my vision and take it more than Ultraman. So I said, let's have Hawkman. So Hawkman is about enhancing your vision of endurance, which is bigger than Ultraman. So that's a race coming up in October in Dandeli. Let's see how it goes.
Awesome. And all the best for training for it. And I'm sure you are prepared for it, but good luck with the training also.
Yeah. I'm not concerned for swimming, because I know 15K, I'll train for it next 2 months, I'll do it, but I'm more concerned for cycling. And that's why I bought this trainer, because there's no hill in Delhi. So now I select a route where I ride 50 kilometers with some 700-meter elevation and all. So I started doing that.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I kind of let's touch a little bit about your book and a couple of things that kind of highlights that I saw in that. First chapter starts with the title is "Do It Yourself." What do you mean?
Yeah, do it for yourself.
What do you mean?
So this is that I told you, the first Ironman event, I was asked to leave the race.
Right. So why?
There was so basically what happened, there are some cutoffs which they put basis logistic, event logistic. It's not like a mandatory cutoff times, which was not written anywhere. So we didn't read, right? So we were not prepared. It was announced on the briefing, which most of the people miss. So there was a 124 kilometer mark, where we were supposed to reach by 3 p.m. because after 3, they were going to open the traffic. And this point, Mallorca was the 3rd toughest cycling course, So we reached 110 kilometer mark, and then there's an elevation of some, I think 1400 meters or 1500 meters something for the next 15 kilometers. That's the 124 kilo mark from here. It's like round up. I was at 123.5 kilometer mark, and it was already 3 past 5 something, 3 or 5, so 3-4 minutes late. So someone said that you were supposed to reach there by 3, so you're out of the race. There's a bus coming, you put your bike, you're out of the race. I said, okay, let's talk there. There's a more detail to it, which is there in the book. But I told this guy that let's talk at 124 kilometer mark. And when I reached there, he said that you're out of the event, you'll not get the title. And even if whatever, so you put your bike. And I saw other people also standing there crying and all that they missed the cutoff. I said, and this 124.5 to 125 kilometer mark, 500 meters, my thought of why I started doing Ironman triathlon training started. It wasn't to get the title. one of my friend has sent me a video to do this triathlon. And when he sent it to me, my first reaction to him was, sorry, I can't do it. See, I was not prepared mentally, even physically also, right? But I was not prepared mentally. So I said, I can't do it. And then the kind of trust and faith he had on me, even I didn't have. And I'm like, why the hell he believes so much on me, man? Because this guy had never seen me running, and now he sees me running 100 kilometers. So he thinks that I have something which I can do beyond, So when he said that, my whole journey of training for this first triathlon was to change, to unfold a different, like I told you, every time in an endurance race, I unfold myself. This race was to unfold and become the I can guy. That next time, if Venki comes and says, hey, Abhishek, you should do Hawkman, I'll say, okay, let me try. Mentally, I'm prepared. I'll not say no. You say that, okay, you know what, you have to climb Nandi Hills 100 times within this much of hour. I'll say, okay, let me try. Whether I should do it or I will do it is a different thing. But I am the I can guy. I'll not say I can't for anything. That was the journey, right? So when he asked me to leave the race, that 500 meter, by the time I reached the top, I decided that, okay, if they'll not give me the title, it's fine. I had enough time. I'd finished my swimming 20 minutes before. So that 20 minutes got added. I finished my 110 kilometer in 3 hours, 20 minutes, So I had enough time for cycling. So I knew I have time. I finished my swim transition cycle in 9 hours, some minutes, which was under 10:30 cutoff. So I said, okay, don't give me the title. I told all the officials, I said, I don't need the title, but I want to see if I can finish it in 17 hours or not. If I am prepared to be an Ironman or not. If I am, I'll go for another 3 months. After, in December, there's a race in Australia. I'll go and do that because I was sponsored by Coal India that time. So I thought that Coal India might, and there was other emotional feeling which went out in this 500 meters. I was sponsored. My dad used to work with Coal India. We come from UP East, near Varanasi, where if you fail, people feel proud and asking questions rather than celebrating your success. So I knew that if I'll fail, people will say, oh, his dad got money. He didn't train well. They kept the money and they didn't use it and blah, 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 all those things. So I thought I'll go and prove that I am capable of doing it in some other Ironman race. So I don't need the title. I want to do it for myself to see if I am prepared for it, whether I can do it in 17 hours or not. So that's why I said in the beginning that I finished the triathlon in 14 some hours. I wrote the email about this all detail to the race director. 26th, we finished the race. My dad was asking, everybody in India was congratulating me because my timings were coming there. Swimming, cycling, running, total. And it was my birthday on 27th September when I did this race, right? So my whole Facebook, some 3,000-4,000 people like, Ironman, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, going on. But I couldn't go and tell people that there is still some glitch. So I changed my profile picture on Facebook and wrote that, I might not get the title because of certain technical glitch, but I have finished the race in this much time. And I understand something that there's nothing called failure or success. And then I added fear also later on. So I said, there's nothing called fear, failure, success. There's no definition to it. Even if dictionaries have it, there's nothing which can define it. The only thing about these three words are that they are words. Failure and success is just a word. If I consider that getting the title was the success of this event, I should have stopped when he asked me to stop. But that wasn't the success. The success was the change which I wanted to feel within myself. And that's why I finished. Now, being an Ironman was success? No. If that would have been the success in my life, I would not have gone for an Ultraman race. I would not have been training for Hawkman, right?
Right.
So success is just a temporary word. It's an experience. You experience that thing, you feel very proud. But then you have to pass on. If you stay there, you're not going to succeed. You're not going to grow in your life. If you feel that that's failure, people who feel that they've not qualified IIT or IMB, and this has happened with kids, right? They feel, oh, they didn't get 90%, they failed, they might commit suicide. They're depressed because we have made a definition of success to their mind that getting 90% is success. Below that, you're failed. You're failed means you don't have anything to do in your life. And that is what I learned. That the time this guy asked me to stop, if I would have stopped, I have defined failure. That is failure in my life. But if I would have stopped after getting the title of Ironman, if I would have defined that as success, I would have stopped there only. My growth would have stopped there. So when you do things for yourself, you actually understand that all these things, fear, failures, and they're just words. We make stories around it.
Right.
So that's why I said that do it for yourself. When you do it for yourself, and there's a difference. Being yourself doesn't mean selfish. Because when you try to be selfish, you'll try to hurt somebody. You'll try to go ahead of somebody by cheating or something. When you do it for yourself, you don't care if the person is crossing you or something. No.
Right.
You enjoy, you get the rhythm of it. You know, when you sing for yourself, you sing for your own pleasure. You're not singing to show it to somebody. Right. So that's why the chapter name was Do It For Yourself.
Yeah, a little bit of spiritual, this thing is also there, right?
It's very philosophical, but I found it because I realized that. That's why the name of the book is Run to Realize Aspects of Life. Right. These aspects of life, fear, failure, success, I can, all these are aspects we realize in life. I realized in this endurance sports. That's why it says Run to Realize Aspects of Life. So, you know, do it for yourself. I realized this while doing that race.
I encourage listeners to read that book. I will also get a copy. I'm yet to read, but
I would wait for the review.
Yes, I will sure. And you also mentioned, talked something about ego versus self-respect. Can you expand a little bit on that?
So that's the journey of my first half marathon, 2011. Like I said, that 2010 I started running, but I wasn't training for anything. And when I registered for the first run, because of my job and everything, I didn't train for it. I hardly ran, I think, 10 times. That too, not more than 4-5 kilometers, right? And I went to the run. And I finished the run. You know, I said because my CEOs were running and I finished the run. This story I had in my mind, you know. But in 2015, and you would have also read, lots of runners started dying because of cardiac arrest and all in running events. Right? So a known running friend we connected on Facebook, he died in 2014. Okay, and he collapsed 10 meters before the finish line. Wow. People are still finishing the race. Nobody's looking at him like somebody would have called ambulance. But all these people who are running, they're trying to finish their race. Nobody's going to attend him. There are people celebrating. I still have the picture with me. Now, why he died, I think he was not prepared for this run. You just train for 3 months and you think you can go and do the full marathon or a half marathon. No, it's not like that. Right. It is so I finished the race because I had a history of playing for 6-7 years. My body could take it. But was I ready for it? No. So why I went for that run in 2011 is because of my ego, that if I not go, my office people will make fun of me. That, arre yaar, tu to 4 saal se football khela national level and you are running 6 kilometers, you should do 21. You know, we make this story in my... So I actually registered for 21 thinking I have to protect my self-respect of being a national level soccer player, which was my ego. Okay. So when in 2014, when I saw him, you know, when he collapsed, I thought that, boss, just because I was a footballer or I had a history, I could finish the race. But the same thing could have happened with me. And then I related it with our life that, you know, we actually take a lot of decisions thinking it's our self-respect we need to protect, but it's actually our ego. You know, that male chauvinistic ego. We have lots of things which happens in our house, you know, in society, in office. Usko to 10 lakh mil raha hai, mere ko to 8 lakh milta hai. Arre, look at your need. If you need only 5, if you're getting 8, stay happy with your family. Right. It's against my self-respect. He's earning more than me in my same team. No, it's not self-respect. It's your ego. You're not looking at what you need. You're looking at what is he getting. Right? So that's why this chapter name, I said that ego versus self-respect, because I had taken that call. There's a very thin line of difference between ego and self-respect. We over-relate it. So that's what this chapter is all about.
Yeah, we also tend to, as athletes, we tend to look at things like Strava, what people, what other people are doing.
11 years, I've never been there. People said, please come on Strava. I said, thank you. I don't want to be another king of mile, racer. It's a good thing. It's a good thing because people compete and they become better, right? But I think I have grown a habit of competing in myself. You know, when I go out to run, if I'm running at 5 pace, I don't even look at my watch. I have never ever used a heart rate monitor. Never. When I'm running, if I feel my breathing is very natural, I have the rhythm, then I see the pace. Oh, it's 5 pace. I can still run faster. Then I increase the pace. Then I feel that at this pace, I can run 3 kilometers more. I see, okay, it's 450, 430. I never, unless I train with a specific goal that, okay, I have to do a 120, so I need to do intervals.
Right.
Last year, I did intervals for the first time in my life, like consistently for 2-3 months. I've never done that.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent. So this has been a great chat, Avi. To conclude the session, what are some of the tips you would give working athletes to do well in sport while doing well at work and family lives?
I would say be very clear with the purpose of why you're doing that sport. We have a very famous saying that don't try to fit your foot in someone else's shoe, right?
Right.
Just because Abhishek Mishra has done triathlon, you want to do it. And I'm not, and this happens, in India, people take it on ego. I'm not saying don't do it. And I'm not saying just because I want to be at that platform, I don't want somebody else to be there. No, go there, do it. I have asked so many people to do triathlon because it will make you humble. But some people have changed their character at all. They've become very aggressive, So be clear with the purpose of whatever you do in your life. Triathlon, running, cycling, job. If you are clear with the purpose, the early you get the clarity, the better life you're going to live in your life. The better athlete you're going to be, the better triathlete you're going to be.
Right.
Because that clarity in purpose will decide your priority, how much time you want to give to training, family, kids, job. And then you will make your choices accordingly. You will get up accordingly. You'll eat that kind of food. And those choices will set your habits, and then it will become your lifestyle. Then you'll not complain that you don't have time for all these things.
Yeah.
So clarity in purpose, that will decide your priority, that will decide your choice, which will form a habit, and you will have an amazing, happy lifestyle.
Awesome. Great tips, Abhishek. Thank you for joining the show, Working at That Podcast.
Thank you for the opportunity, Venki.
And probably post your Hawkman try with Connect and talk about how
100%.
it goes.
Yeah, sure. It's in Karnataka only. I've heard Dandeli is a beautiful place. It's the sports adventures area of South. I'm hoping to go and enjoy the time there.
Brilliant. All the best.